So once we log into Pantheon, we'll have your three projects. We'll select the RUMGSA project. And we'll see here the development. We have three tabs, one for dev, one for test, and one for live. So the first thing we see is dev. It'll show if there are any commits pending. In this case, there's nothing left to commit. If you made a code change, you would see here files ready to commit, and this button would be active, in which case you would add a message here. Typically, you add something related to the update you've done. Let's say updated code, removed malware, updated plugin, etc., and then you would commit it. So after you're committed your changes on development, you come to the test tab. So the way Pantheon work is we bring content down from live and code up from dev and merge them on test to see if everything's working together. So here on test, you can see the changes have already been committed. 6 commits are ready to deploy from the development environment. So we're bringing the content from live to test, and we're deploying the code from development to test. So this is already all set by default, so you just check, but you just have to click on deploy. You can add a deploy message here to leave it in the logs of what you are deploying. So I'm going to go ahead and deploy. So the system is deploying the code to test and cloning the files from live and the database. All right, so it's been deployed to test, and you can see here the last entry in the log. Now go to the live tab, and you can see that we got this commits ready to deploy from the test environment. So basically, the content from live and the code from dev are merged in dev, and now we have to push up to live. So we can add a deploy message here or not. It's optional. We simply click on deployed code from test to live environment. And that is done. Another recommended step after you do this is that you clear caches up here, top right. And you can do this on every environment as well, also on test and also on dev when you make changes. So that completes all the steps. It takes about 5 to 10 minutes. So in general, as a reminder, everything that's content on page changes, it's done on live. Also, plugin settings are updated on live, and adding new users, it's also done on live as well. And then everything that's code, CSS, etc., it's done on dev. So if you make a plugin change on live, you also have to make it on dev if you want to reflect that on dev as well. Another process, if you want to have an exact copy of live on dev as well, including all the content, would be cloning, which is done on the clone tab, database tab here, but that is a tricky process, and I recommend you do it through support. And I recommend you do a backup before you clone it as a safety precaution. Let me go over quickly over backups. You go to the backups tab, and we have scheduled backups for once a week on both dev and live. So if you want to adjust that schedule, it's pretty easy. Just go to backup schedule on this tab here. The backups for dev and live are different, and for test as well. So you have to schedule on each tab separately. One last thing I would like to recommend is that you go over the entire Pantheon process of pushing and committing. I'm going to send you a link. I'm going to send you a link to this page, which I recommend you visit, and it goes in depth on how the whole Pantheon flow works. The code moves up and the content moves down. I recommend you go through this page. It explains everything, and once you get used to it, it's pretty easy. That's all. Thank you.